Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grab some tape. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in on a fine Tuesday evening here on the Film Guy Network. I am your host, Brooks Austin. I've never said that. I have yet to say that. I'm your host, I'm Brooks Austin, on the Film Guy Network in years. Don't know why I just did it. That's how unscripted or hot off the pressers typically are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You guys know how this works. We come straight in, run down the steps out of the truck, right off of Kirby Smart and the guys' press conferences out there in Athens. We've always told you, Kirby's not one of these people that kind of hides his opinions or hides his feelings particularly. As soon as he walks in the room, you kind of know what the vibe is. You kind of know what the feeling is. It was noticeable. It was palpable today. My man just wasn't in a very good mood. All right, just going to be honest with you. The first sound he made was a, all right, guys, how y'all doing today? Like the first noise he made. So just kind of also a noticeable limp from the boss man today. Don't know if it was a sustained injury or a prolonged injury or something from standing in one position way too long during practice. You never know. Anyways, but noticeable kind of not necessarily a great mood. I think, Jonathan, you even noticed it when you cut the audio clips today that he was kind of a little perturbed, no?
Yeah, the facial expressions just showed me like, just one of those days where I don't want to be here and I don't want to talk to these people.
And you know what? Everybody's, me and the boy Mike Griffith were talking about this leaving the building. Everyone's allowed to have one of these days every once in a while. And I think Kirby had one of these days today where he didn't necessarily want to be where he was. He didn't necessarily want to be where his feet were. A prime example of this, apparently not a single book, not a book in the world, not a piece of literature, not a daggum video, not a seminar, not one about the game of football that anybody could watch, observe, listen to, read. Nuh-uh. Ask my man's been wanting to. I told the guys this leaving the other day. I am dying to ask Kirby Smart, hey, if I just wanted to learn more about football, if I wanted to learn more about conceptual, just football in general, where would you direct me? Would you direct me to any books that you've read? Would you direct me to any type of, video seminar? Where would you send me? You know what he told me? He told me to join an SEC staff as if that were an option. He said, join an SEC staff, and then said, I don't really understand your question, and went with the I don't understand your question thing. I know he is a very well-read individual. I know he is. I asked him at the SEC Media Days, hey, how do you keep your message fresh? And he said, I'm an avid reader. I'm out here Naya Football Book 1. He also told us to stay off of Twitter because that's definitely not where you're learning football. The wife thought that was a shot at me, didn't know if that was a shot at me. You guys said it would have been a direct shot at me if he said stay off of YouTube.
Yeah, if he said all these damn YouTube channels trying to teach you football, don't watch that shit. That's at you. But
direct shot.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, stay off Twitter, maybe not.
Yeah. You were safe from that one.
All right. Don't know. Didn't get great vibes from it. My man's didn't give me great vibes today, but I don't think he gave anyone great vibes. Even Mike. Mike followed up afterwards, and this is why Mike. This is why Mike and I were talking after. He followed up, was like, did anybody you studied? Like, did you study Belichick? Obviously, you worked for Saban. Naya study. Nope, Naya study. Didn't study a single person. Okay, just worked. That was his answer. I just worked. I even asked him, hey, Broderick Jones, super freak, guy used to help y'all run counter. Y'all became a really big counter football team last year, coach. Why? Was it anything to do with Broderick? You know, he's kind of gone now. Anything changed? Broderick is a great pass blocker, but everyone can run counter. I don't think anybody's different in that room. I just didn't really. So no schematical differences there. Just off rip, the one main takeaway from Kirby today, not in a great mood. And I don't know if it was, I don't think it had anything necessarily to do with practice. I think, like we said off rip, Everyone's allowed to just not want to be there in that moment. I've certainly never seen a microphone that I wasn't wanting to jump on and talking to, so I don't necessarily relate to this. But as a football coach, I would imagine he has these. This is my first year going to these day in and day out, and this was really honestly the first one where I was like, oh, he don't want to be here. Mm-hmm. So kudos to the man. Hell, we're a month and a half into this of him answering dumbass questions like, hey, I want to learn some football. What do I do? Join an SEC staff. That was man's answer today. No, it was a great press conference today. Kamari Lassiter, super professional. Got to talk to him today. Obviously, been talking to Smile for a while. Smile, he's a plant. They send us him for a reason. Kirby sends us him for a reason. I think if you check the timestamp on that today, I think Bud was in there 6 minutes, in and out. He's 3 words tops. I love you. As a longer, example of thoughts and feelings than what Smile gives you sometimes in those things. So yeah, I think Mans is 100% a plant when it comes to the media availability, because we know not gonna give them nothing. Not gonna give them nothing. Lock and key, baby. Lock and key, Smile Monton. But Kamari was very thoughtful. Very insightful. Asked him about being a professional, because that's what Kirby talked about with him with regards to Kamari and what's been most impressive about him through his start. And his main takeaway, Kamari's main takeaway, was he noticed how critical locking in and paying attention was early on, and noticed the guys ahead of him, what it required for them to play. So noticed that he better be doing those things himself. But the most important thing, I always love taking away, hey, why is this guy successful? I think Kirby's successful at his job because he's like really obsessive about minute details. A prime example of this was Belichick the other day. Belichick was asked about, hey, why are y'all burning a roster spot on long snappers? And he went in this 10-minute answer about the need and the history and the background of the long snapper, and extended it to the place kicker and then the field goal kicker and all these things. It went through this big, long, elaborate answer about this long thought process in theory about long snappers, something very, very simple in the game of football. And so I've been, since then, this is about a week and a half ago, I've been trying to notice these things in Kirby, because obviously he's very successful as a football coach. And finding these, hey, that guy is very clearly obsessive about everything that he does. One of these things popped out today. He talked about the decision to take the ball on Saturday. It's the first time they had won the toss and taken the ball to start the football game. And his answer was very direct. It wasn't, we were trying to set the tone. It was none of that cliche stuff we normally hear from football coaches. Oh, we just wanted to give our offense a hot start. We felt like we started slow last week, so we're going to get it. That's what I was expecting. Nah. Mans came out and said it was about the weather. We thought that there was going to be some weather coming in, so we wanted to maximize our offensive possessions in the first half, or to start the football game to ensure that we get the ball as many times as possible before the rain came in. Just stuff that I would never think about, stuff that you don't typically think about. Again, I've never really had heard that, never really had heard of that thought process, but clearly something that he had thought about. Another one of these, we talked about it on Friday Night's Mike. Dude has absolutely thought about something as minuscule as why field goals are blocked. Not how, but why. Okay, and why have field goals been blocked lately? Well, teams and defensive teams and special teams units have been standing over the snapper and jumping, just trying to get as high as possible, not pushing the pocket in, not pushing field goal units in, no longer trying to block off the edge, right? Not getting the fastest guy and making him lay out. Most field goals have been effective with fingertips and guys blocking field goals right over, that guard, or right over that center, right over that spot that field goal kickers are going over the line of scrimmage. So what have they started to do? They've not necessarily prioritized length of field goals. They've prioritized height of field goals. Dude, minuscule details, minor details. Y'all talk about game of inches. The football being a game of inches. That dude wins in the inches. And there's another one of those. Hey, guy's clearly very, very obsessive about what it is that he does and what it is that he loves. So there you go. Be obsessive. Find ways that you can become obsessive in your day-to-day ops, and maybe you'll get much, much better. Welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you today. Got a bunch of topics for you guys. Shane Beamer talked about Tyler Simmons today. Kirby did as well. We have both of those audio clips for you. We're going to talk about what Georgia needs to prove to us on Saturday. Not that anybody cares, except for you guys, the guys watching and gals watching today. We got bold predictions for Saturday. Kirby Smart versus assistants, and it's Tuesday. So you know what that means. We got our boy Terence Edwards joining us tonight on the program as well. Welcome in, boys. How are we doing today?
Doing great. Great as always.
Any of you guys, how are you doing today?
I'm chilling, man.
You good enough to rip off a Prize Picks read right quick for me?
Yeah, we got you.
There you go.
Guys, look, inflation's going crazy right now. Eggs are like $6. What better way to make money than Prize Picks? Promo code Brooks Austin, or Brooks, just Brooks, right?
Yeah, just Brooks.
Use promo code Brooks, get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Easy way to make money, guys. Hit them up.
Brooks, whatever it is, man.
Brooks Austin, either one.
Hey, whatever it is. Shouts out to the boy Larry. You know, he got me right today. Was the only guy in the shop today. The only guy in the barber shop. It allowed us to have a much more in-depth conversation between me and the barber. Always love a good convo with the barber.
Yeah, those can be some crucial life discussions that you have.
Yeah, I'll never hear y'all talk about your barbers, man. You know who's a barber now? Certified, stamped.
Who?
This guy. Gave my son his first fade the other day.
Nice.
I did well. I think I did really, really well.
Gonna have to check that out.
I'm proud. I'm proud, honestly. I think it was a big moment for me and my son. At least for me, the next big moment will be his first pair of Jordans. But I want him to understand that moment. That was a giggle for you.
Yeah, that's funny. Man.
That was worth an audible giggle from you.
Yeah.
The fact that I want to share a moment like that with my child.
What age is that? Where you go?
I don't know.
Son. Here's
first time he asked me something that made me go, like Mans is thinking. Mans has got an actual brain on top of his head.
Oh.
Right now, he just all mac and cheese, chocolate ice cream. I want the things that I want, and I cry if I don't get it. That's the mode he's in right now. But the first time he mess around, made me say, we might. Because he understands the weight of something. You know what I'm saying? And your first pair of J's, just like your first deposit on Prize Picks with promo code Brooks, it's got some weight to something, man. You know what I mean?
What if he grows up and says, Dad, I want Converse?
What if he honestly says, man, like the first time you bought that pair of Flints, man, they were a little bit thick and you probably should have never, messed around with J's the rest of your life. Maybe it would have saved me some money.
Probably.
Because honestly, I ain't even going to show them. The pair of shoes I have on right now, first pair of J's I ever owned, I did not purchase them. They were a gift. And I wear them maybe 2 times a year because they're hideous. They're hideous. But they look good on like a certain pair of outfits. I don't know. Anyways, y'all came here for football. Let's talk about football. How should we do the Shane Beamer, Kirby Smart clip? I think we should play the Beamer clip first and show you how he responded because Kirby had a totally different response. All right, this is obviously in regards to 2008 National Championship. I don't have to tell you guys how that football game went, but obviously Shane Beamer was on this staff. I think sometimes it can be forgotten. He was the special teams assistant and the tight ends coach, and then ultimately took a lateral move to Oklahoma before becoming the head coach at South Carolina. Give me that clip, my man.
Yeah, taking me down a nightmare. It was the right thing. If you go to, if you ask anybody in Athens what Tyler Simmons was onside means, they know. Because in the national championship game, we had Alabama punted. Kirby had come up with a plan that, we're going to show this look when Alabama punts. We're confident that they will do this. And then when they do this, we're going to do that. And Alabama's protection scheme, we were going to get a free rusher, we felt like, and we did. Came completely clean, blocked a punt, just like we had designed it to do. And unfortunately, the officiating crew, not an SEC crew, but the officiating crew absolutely blew the call. And I don't want to say cost us a national championship, but that was a significant play in the game. that potentially cost us a national championship game that night, because that was the same game that Tua threw the pass on 2nd and 26 and overtime, and that block punt happens early in the second half, and there probably isn't an overtime. So I've gotten past it, as you can tell. Yeah, it doesn't bother me anymore. But that was one. That was Kirby. We had a whole month to work on it, and he was exactly right.
That clip, obviously, courtesy of Gamecocks Online over there. A couple of things here. Obviously, you can see he harbors emotion. Listen to that clip, you can notice he harbors emotion. The other thing, thought it was very, very interesting to hear him say that Kirby was the one that ID'd the free gap, basically, that, hey, Alabama lines up this way during punt unit. Like, he had found the hole, if you will. Even dating back to his very early on days as a CEO and a coach. Very hands-on approach everywhere, obviously. Walking into a special teams unit meeting as a head coach, as a second-year head coach, right? First time big football game, national championship weekend. You're the one that finds the hole, okay, and says, let's go attack this. Thought that was very, very obvious and worth pointing out there. Very detail-oriented, like we were just talking about, and obviously something he's remained on point with when it comes to film study and digging deep for holes on special teams. It's the only reason he called the timeout against Ohio State at the time that he was supposed to. He noticed the difference in their alignment and ran down and called a timeout despite all the things going on in the comms. Also worth noting, was asked about it today. I want you to notice, and they're two diametrically opposed human beings. We talked about this last night. But that sound that we just heard from Shane Beamer, that emotion that he still harbors for something that was, 5 years ago? Listen to the way Kirby Smart, the one who had a national title on the line, just like Shane, but as a head coach, listen to the way Kirby Smart responded to the same, kind of response and question today.
I mean, I was over after it happened because I just assumed that they made the call that they saw and they felt confident about, but in all reality, it should have come back anyway because they had people moving before the snap. So it wasn't about whether he's onside or not. It was the movement pre-snap should have negated the play, but something we worked hard on.
On to the next play. Right, immediately, right? It was on to the next snap. And I thought it was also, first time, maybe, I don't dig into the Georgia annuals as much as you guys probably have in terms of the actual process of that play. But I always hear about the Tyler Simmons onsides. I never really hear about the false start from Bama's punt unit, which is what he talked about right there. He said, all in all, it should have stopped immediately. The punt shouldn't have even been called. It should have been a dead play, and it should have been a false start because Alabama was moving first.
Yeah, usually the only plays you hear people talk about are the Tyler Simmons play and then the face mask against Jake Fromm. Nobody talks about a false start.
Yeah.
I've never heard that brought up actually until today.
I remember watching that live and thinking, that was a false start. Why is it being called offsides? If anything, it's a false start, which, I mean, either way, the block punt is null and void. So that's kind of Kirby's attitude towards it. But at this point, Georgia fans have won 2 natties. So it's not like you really have to – you don't really need to be picky about this anymore.
It's so neat to hear a guy talk. He's very matter of fact. You know what I mean? There's no emotions ever really tied in his thought processes.
No.
And then that's a dead sign of that. Like he just procedurally, they had a false start. Punt should have never been blocked. We should have no emotions towards that.
Kirby's
On to the next one.
Kirby's probably like, why the heck am I being asked about the 2018 National Championship game right now anyways?
Yeah,
That's probably his attitude.
My bad. I think he does have emotions towards it. Obviously, when they won that first natty and they asked him about it, he said, that one will be with me for a long time. This one will be with me even longer. So he obviously thinks about that game. Mm-hmm. But on the surface level, I think he's very objective towards it. Kind of, this was the play, this will happen, move on. Because you can't lament on those things as a coach. So,
yeah, I guess you can't. I mean, but they were pivotal moments of his career, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They still don't play near as much cover 2 as like traditional zone cover 2 as they did in the football game.
No.
They just don't. You know who else doesn't? College football. Rail shots just ruined cover 2 for pretty much everybody. Yeah. I did see Indiana disguising it really well this past weekend, so that was neat.
Look at Tom Allen.
Yeah, Tom Allen, co-defense coordinator up there, I found out today. Because I was trying to give some creds to some stuff that we're going to give out in the National Hour a little bit later. Couldn't find a DC up there. Co-DC. So I guess Tom Allen's the other one. Didn't know Tom Allen. Yeah, more you know. Didn't know. Tom Allen, big SEC guy, or big DC guy. You brought up some Kirby Smart versus assistants as some spinoff of Saban versus assistants. Saban's only lost to 3 assistants in his time. Kirby, undefeated.
Yep.
Undefeated. And the coaching tree continues to spread.
Yeah, it does. I didn't know what exactly the sample size was. I didn't know how many times he had played, former assistants and things, but I couldn't think of a time he had lost. Jay, well, you had the actual stats on that, right? Did you?
Yeah, he's 5-0. He played Pittman twice, Beamer twice, and Lanning once last year. Average points scored against those opponents, 42 points per game. Average points allowed, 6.6. And average margin of victory, 35.6.
He's beating former assistants 42-6.
Yeah.
How much is Beamer's total sway in that?
Oh, man.
It's
Quite a
probably
bit.
not that because,
Probably not that. Well, that's basically been the scores that he's beaten.
he beat
Yeah.
Lanning by 46 too.
So no one's played him close at all.
No.
No.
Not even close. Not even remotely
Oh yeah,
close.
because he smoked the brains off of Dan Lanning.
Yeah, shut out Arkansas
The
one
closest
Yeah.
one's probably Arkansas 2020.
First half.
year. But even
Yeah.
that one was 33 to 10 or something
16
like that.
to 3 at the half.
Yeah.
Or 6-3 at the half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Arkansas 2020 is probably the closest game he's ever had with a former assistant. So
And yeah, you're right. I mean, he's gotten Pittman, he's gotten Beamer, he's gotten Lanning. The difference right here between him and like Saban's obviously what we're comparing this to. The difference between him and Saban, in my opinion, is that like during the supremacy of Alabama reign of college football, that staff was getting picked off left and right for head coaches. Bang, 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 bang. Like, I mean, Jeremy Pruitt, God bless his McDonald bag and soul, he's a prime example of this. He had like a year as a DC up there. It's like, oh, yeah, one of the biggest programs in college football. Here you go. You know what I mean? Like, we don't see this right now at Georgia. Now, it has happened, right? It happened with he who shall not be named until things are settled up there at Colorado and then Michigan State, right? And then you got Sam Pittman real close right after that, and Dan Lanning after about 18 months after, it happened with Sam Pittman. But not like real quick with the turnover. The retention at Georgia has been much higher than during because we're 8 years into this, right? And we're really 3 years into like, damn, Georgia's like on the top of college football. And we haven't really seen him have to replace guys that much.
well, I think it's that and the fact that Kirby Smart has been a head coach for 8 seasons now. That's it. Nick Saban was a coach for 20 years before he got to Alabama. So he's had plenty of former assistants, and that tree's had plenty more time to grow before Kirby Smart. Kirby's a relatively new head coach, all things considered. He's a veteran in the SEC East at this point. He's the second longest tenure behind Stoops. But other than that, he's relatively new to the game when you look at guys like Saban and others.
All right, I want to take a quick second to let you get Terence loaded up. I see he's in the labs
Got him
right there.
already.
Okay, go ahead and get him added to the stream. And while we do that, I want to let everyone else know that if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that. If you haven't already hit that ding thumbs up button, please go ahead and do that as well. Also want to let everybody know that Friday Night's Mic'd came out on Monday. Mistake Monday came out yesterday. If you haven't already subscribed, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. We gave offensive all 22 over there this morning. We will give defensive all 22 over there tomorrow morning. So great time to be over there on Patreon. I also gave our recruiting list out this morning over there, recruiting visitors list. And we have our boy Terence Edwards joining us right now. Terence, how we doing today, baby?
I'm doing well, Brooks. What's going on?
I can't complain, man. How's the week of practice going out for you guys? A bunch of good football games for you guys the last couple of weeks, man. Had Roswell last week, got Alpharetta this week. How's the week of preparation going for the Milton Eagles?
It's going well so far. The guys have really have bought in after the loss to Western down in Florida. They really bought in last week. Plus, Alpharetta and Roswell is the 2 rival games. So if you can't get up for those 2 games, you don't need to be playing football.
Hey, I would imagine there's some Georgia football players that feel a similar way about South Carolina and the SEC slate coming up, finally getting to kick off against the SEC. Let me ask you this, Terence. I got to thinking about it yesterday watching the film. It's almost like the basketball mentality of I want to see that last shot go in, or I at least want to see some shots go in before I go out and play a game. Would you have liked to see Georgia's offense kind of take a few more deep shots over the last 2 weeks before you go into SEC play? Because, you might actually need them Saturday if you get into a game where you got to actually score some points.
Right. I think against Ball State, we threw a couple deep over routes that looked pretty good for us, the route and the ball that Carson threw. Yes, I would like to see take some shots. I thought the Tennessee Martin game, we threw one to Arian that I don't think either one of those on the same page. So you would like to see some deep balls and just get it out and just see where we're at. I'm pretty sure we throw a lot in practice, but I save them. I want to save them too. If we're going to connect on deep balls, I'd rather save them against South Carolina, something that they probably haven't seen. So I really don't know if we're a screen game team or we're an intermediate passing game or we're going to throw it deep. We have the speed to do it.
And that was my thing.
Hit.
That was my thing, Terrence. It's like I understand we want to save some of the playbook, but there ain't nothing hidden about, hey, the guy in the slot's really fast. Like, you've put Arian Smith verticals on tape. We all know that he can run. So when I flip on the tape and I see Ball State's safety standing at 7 yards, I just wonder, like, hey, why aren't you just, like, not allowing that to happen? Why aren't you just, taking Arian Smith on a vertical and showing it? Because it's an easy way to score, and that's kind of the purpose of offense. And we've shown verticals on tape before, right? Is that something you want to hide, that, like, hey, 11 can run? Doesn't all of college football know that 11 can run, Terrence?
Unless you've been hiding up on a rock, Arian Smith have world-class speed. C.J. Smith has world-class speed. I think Dominique Lovett has great football speed. So we have the guys that push vertically. I know Ladd McConkey is another vertical threat that hasn't been there. Hopefully he's back this week. So we have multiple guys that we can push the ball down deep. But I'm like you. If I don't get the opportunity to watch all 22, and I can't see that closer. The safety's been at 7, but there was at 7. We have to push the ball downfield. Now, if that is adding guys in the box. If you're 7 yards from the line of scrimmage, you're in the box. So we got to take advantage of the talent that we have recruited and throw the ball downfield, because Carson Beck can get the ball downfield. So now we just got to be confident and hit those low percentage throws.
Now, Terrence, I know you played relatively small high school football down in South Georgia. So I would imagine you had a history of playing both ways in high school, or primarily a wide receiver. Once you got to Georgia, your brother did all the running back duties. When you watch Dylan Bell go through what he's been going through the last couple of weeks, where it's like, hey, we're going to play a little bit of wide receiver, but dang, look at that dynamicism. What's the word?
You got it. Just keep trying.
The dynamic ability of being able to play running back as well. What just your overall thought processes of playing both, man? Did you ever have to do it? I'm sure you and Robert have had some conversations about the ability to play running back. You watched him do it. What are your thoughts about Dylan playing running back on Saturday, man?
We all know if you follow recruiting, we understand that Dylan played everything in high school, and he's a natural football player. If you just look at the cut that he made, we don't have that right now in the backfield. We have 240-pound Branson Robinson. We have 220-pound Kendall Milton. We don't have the guy that can put his foot in the ground and make a cut like Kenny McIntyre last year to make a guy miss. And you need a guy. Yes, we need the big bruisers to just gut out 2 or 3 yards here, but we also need a guy that can put his foot in the ground, make a guy miss, and get us 20 to 40-yard burst. So Dylan Bell is a breath of fresh air. So I hope he gets the carries. Do I want to see him play a whole game at running back? No, because he's so versatile. But you got to get the playmakers get the ball in their hands. And I've heard Bobo say, and the Georgia staff say, that he want to get the ball in these guys' hands as quick as possible and let them run. So this is another way to get Dylan Bell the ball and let him do what he do.
I remember you on Twitter. I can't remember who it was that committed, but I remember you talking about, hey, we got plenty of thunder in that room. We need some lightning in that running back room. We need some juice. We need somebody that can show some life. Like when they touch the ball, there's some suddenness, right? It's the word I look for, not necessarily twitch, but just like, day, man, as soon as 86 had the ball on Saturday, there was a noticeable energy difference with him with the rock in his hands. And you're right, that room has kind of missed it, and it does miss it even when Dejon's healthy. Dejon Edwards is a really, really good back, but he doesn't have breakaway, game-breaking, wow speed. He's got 30, 40-yard ripper speed, does he not, Terrence?
Hey, Doc. So let me tell you who, and I want to see if everyone on the panel agrees with this. Dejon Edwards, comp to me is Terrell Davis in college. The way he plays, his movement, the way he look in his uniform is a split image of Terrell Davis to me. If you go back and watch Terrell Davis highlights, he didn't break a lot of long runs, but he was shifted with a little power, catch the ball where he is Dejon Edwards reincarnated to me. But Dwight Phillips Jr. is the running back from Pebblebrook who I was referring to. And I know he's smaller, but we don't have that guy that could take it like him. And he's bringing a dynamic that we haven't had since James Cook probably, or maybe ever, the type speed that he's going to bring to the table next year. And I'm excited to see all the three backs that we have. And Nate Frazier out of California, man, that guy brings he's a bigger back, but he can put him up, put him down. So I'm just, Dejon is a complete back. He's not going to take it 80, but he's going to make you miss, and he's reliable with the football.
It's so interesting because they've prioritized, this, Terrence, they've prioritized speed, real speed at every other position across the board, except for, quarterback, they don't really care. It's about the overall player. But at wide receiver, it's track guys left and right? It's Aaron Smith, it's C.J. Smith, it's Tyler Williams could go, as a tall guy, could really, really run in high school. At linebacker, if you don't run sub 11 seconds in the 100-meter, you just ain't getting recruited anymore on the defensive side of the football. At corner, they got speed everywhere. And it's Dwight Phillips is the only guy in the last 4 or 5 classes, three classes, that they've really prioritized speed with. So it's a good point that you've made repeatedly on social media, and now here on the show. A general question here: how would you assess the overall receiver play? I know we kind of already talked about it. Ain't a whole lot of double moves, and not a whole lot of refined routes and explosivity available on the play calling so far. But how would you assess the receiver play?
I think the leader was back this week, and I give him a lot of credit, and that's Marcus. I talked about Marcus last week with him not being there, and we dropped some balls there. But I think the second week against Ball State, I think I don't remember a drop there. Aaron had some nice down the field passes. Dominic had some. My man that I did some work with, Makai Muse, is a breath of fresh air with his ability to just take a screen. So I thought that we played better the second week, and that's probably because the leader was there, the emotional leader, Marcus, and we're going to need that this week. We're going to against South Carolina. That's kind of been a nemesis of ours in the past, and we're going to need all those guys making plays. And I can tell you this: this is the first time last week that I saw Brock look human. Did not play up to the standards that we all have set for him. And we didn't need him to, but SEC play, we're going to need the Brock Bowers to be the Brock Bowers that we come to love.
I know not everybody watches film or the film that we do here, but you trained him, so I don't know if you've got a chance to look at it deeply. Oscar Delp had a tremendous football game on Saturday. Terrence doing everything that he didn't do in high school. We've talked about it a little bit here, and I know you know this. He's a move tight end. He was an H tight end in high school. They didn't do a lot of stuff with him even near the box at a program at West Forsyth that ran the football a ton. Just talk, I guess, a little bit about his development, and I'm sure you saw a little bit of the edge that he played with in high school, but just talk about Oscar just in general, man.
I think that the receiving skills, the movement from the perimeter, just being able to run routes and catch the football has always been there. But one thing that he has done, he's put on strength and muscle and weight this offseason to be able to be that guy, to be in the Darnell Washington mode, not the dominant blocker, because we all seen what Darnell Washington did this weekend against one of the Bosa brothers. Man, I mean, just think about it. You're an O-line guy. We will miss that guy. Brock is the generational tight end, but Darnell is probably the most complete tight end that we have had at Georgia uh, in history. But Oscar has tried to get and fill that role. We know he can run. We know he can catch. Now he really focuses on gaining strength, adding weight, so he could be that dominant blocker with that nastiness that he brings to the table.
No Algie Crumpler love? Oh, no, he wasn't a Georgia player. He's a Falcon guy.
That's my guy.
Who's our guy? Leonard Pope?
That's my guy.
Leonard Pope? No Leonard Pope love?
I love Leonard. I love Leonard. My best friend, my college roommate, is Randy McMichael. I played with Ben Watson. Larry Brown is my guy, love him to death. But just from to the receiving standpoint and being that dominant blocker, I just think Darnell is the most complete tight end in Georgia history.
All right, last question for you, Terrence. Do you think South Carolina is going to be a test this weekend?
I do. I know that their offensive line really struggled the first game, but this is an SEC opponent. They have legitimate talent. They have a wide receiver there is legit. Say what you want about Spencer Rattler, but he is a capable quarterback that can make the plays. So we got to come in and play better. I think overall we got to play better. Do I think Georgia still win? Yes. But they're a capable opponent. Shane Beamer has recruited well, but not on the level of Georgia. So we have to go and play better on the offensive line so we can run the football and then get our play action game and hit all downs, and maybe we'll get some deep balls this game.
Terrence, no promises. Actually, screw it. Breaking news. Friday nights, Mike, we should go to Alpharetta Milton Friday, shouldn't we?
Go right, yeah.
Do it.
So what did y'all end up last week?
Bro, I was down at Colquitt last week. I think I got 4 hours of sleep in like the 2 days combined. I drove all the way down to Moultrie, okay, and watched Colquitt kind of handle Lee County, and then got up or drove all the way home. I got home at 3 o'clock in the morning and then got up for the nooner on Saturday. But you know what? Alpharetta and Milton. Is that game at Alpharetta or is it at Milton? It's at Milton. Okay, we got cushy access over there. Breaking news: Friday Night's Mike coming to Milton High School this weekend. Appreciate you, Terrence.
That's what we talking about.
That's what we talking about. Hey, we'll see you next Tuesday. All right, we'll see you Friday, but we'll see you next Tuesday. All right.
You see, repping the M. M versus them.
Appreciate you, baby. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Hey, that's the guy right there, Terence Edwards, always joining us here on Tuesdays. Boys, man, I don't know. I don't know what. If I told 12-year-old Brooks, or let's say 8-year-old Brooks, or let's take it you guys. If I told, childhood yous, you're going to be on a show one day that only talks sports. This is what you're going to do. Like, you're going to be on a show one day that talks sports, and every Tuesday, the all-time leading receiver at the University of Georgia is going to join you just to chop it up, okay? And the all-time leading receiver in the SEC is going to come on your show whenever he wants to because he's daggum Aaron Murray, and his schedule is his schedule. You know what I mean? But what if I told you that? Wouldn't that be dope?
I probably wouldn't have tried as hard in school, honestly.
I know I'm going to make it, so
Yeah.
I don't have to try anymore.
Sometimes I wonder, honestly, God, I shouldn't say this out loud. I wonder why you're both still in school. Why?
I have those thoughts too sometimes. Like when I get
Oh,
some of
for
those,
sure.
when I get those
'Cause you need a
assignments, I'm
degree?
just like, bro, like, do I really got to stick it out for another semester
I mean,
after this?
folks get out of your program, and they come apply.
And we're just here. We're just like, just already doing what we want to be doing.
Who knows?
Just saying, shouts out. Hey, I can't, like, somebody says something to me the other day about, like, just my attitude and, like, how I carry myself on air. Dude, I freaking love what I do.
Yeah.
Like, I could not imagine ever in my life doing what I get to do for a living. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's something special that, like, when you wake up every day, like, and you have work, like work
Yeah.
in air quotes, and you don't hate it. Like, you look forward to, like, when I get done with school, I'm like, yes, now I finally get to go do something for the rest of the day that I enjoy doing. Like, that's special, and that's important in life, to love what you do. And I certainly love what I do.
All right, we got all kinds of topics left on the slate here. Do we want to talk about what Georgia needs to prove most on Saturday, or should I talk about Spencer Rattler and whether or not he should scare you?
Let's do Spencer
I
Rattler.
think that's
Let's do
true.
Spencer.
We can save proven points for tomorrow's show if we absolutely need to. Guys, y'all know I'm a film-oriented guy. I watch before I give opinions. That's what I do. It's what this is based on, okay? And apparently you can't learn football from anything other than being inside of a coaching staff, but we try to learn football, at least learn about football players through the film that is available. And I watched some Spencer Rattler film again today, and I don't know if he's going to end up working out on Sundays, but he plays like a professional quarterback. He does everything required that it is. Any football player that's completing 84% of their passes while under tremendous duress, okay? I'm talking about bodies at his feet constantly. I'm talking about constantly having to manipulate the pocket. Okay, not a single solitary sign of a run game, okay, at all in this dude's career. Okay, very, very special football player to have overcome, at least statistically, what he does. To put up the numbers and to put up the stats and to put up the plays and to put what he puts on film, okay, with, again, not a single solitary proof of any protection or any proof of being able to run the football at all. He's also willing and has been able to just stand in and take shots. I mean, right off the damn chin. There's a 3rd and 9 play against North Carolina to start the season this year. It's like the 3rd possession, okay? The 3rd possession of the game. It's the definition of taking one off the chin. He takes a guy right up underneath the chin strap and takes another guy right to the rib cage. And they just fold him like a daggone lawn chair on 3rd and 9. But you know what he did? He completed the dig right across the middle of the field. Because he's willing to. When you've got 35 starts behind a one-dimensional offensive line like he has, because again, remember, the reason he got pulled at Oklahoma was not because he was turning the ball over. It was not because he was lacking completions. Hell, he was completing 72% of his balls at Oklahoma. It had nothing to do with what he was doing with his right arm. It had everything to do with the fact that they had no run game because the offensive line was abhorrent, okay? And they had no additional add-in with the legs of the quarterback. So how do you solidify that? Well, we got this guy that's probably going to win a Heisman one day that's really great with his legs, named Caleb Williams behind you. He's going to add in that portion of the game to our offense. So as soon as Caleb gets in there, oh, boom, insto facto, all of a sudden the run game opens up. Okay, but with regards to Spencer, he didn't lose his job because of bad play. He lost his job because they became one-dimensional. Because they had no running back and no offensive line around him. Is it the same situation at South Carolina? Yeah. And what it's required from him is it's required him to stand in there and be fearless as a quarterback, and he's become that, okay? Honestly, I really, really like what I've seen from Spencer Rattler on tape. Does it absolutely pile up and lead to overall success for this offense? No. Because there are plenty of holes around him. There are plenty of holes around him. But this dude's completing 84% of his balls right now, okay? And granted, it was against some Tittawata Tech, and it was against the North Carolina defense that we don't necessarily love and respect every year. But he did get 9 sacks. They did sack him 9 times. And he stood in there, and he continued to deliver strikes and complete 78% of his balls in that football game. Spencer Rattler's playing great football right now, which leads me to my question of the day, if you will, about Spencer Rattler. Is this the best quarterback you're going to play all regular season? And the only options here, okay, are obviously Joe Milton, Jackson Dart. I asked this in the media room today. Devin Leary's name got thrown in here. We're throwing that right out, right back at you with the suggestion that you gave us. No thank you. So Jackson Dart, Joe Milton, Spencer Rattler, game for your life. Who are you taking?
Yeah, Spencer Rattler. He's got to be the best one that Georgia's going to face this year, but bar none, in my opinion.
I think Spencer Rattler is I don't want to say most talented because I think Joe Milton has the most talent. I think Spencer Rattler is the most dangerous in that he can read a defense. He can make select throws. He can, like you say, stand and deliver.
He's the most complete.
Yeah, Joe Milton can torch you for a 70-yard bomb, but I don't think that's going to be as much of a problem as it would be for a guy like Spencer Rattler who has the ability to drive a team down the field. Now, like you said, everything else around him is so off par from Georgia's D that it's not going to really matter what he does. But I do think, yeah, Spencer Rattler's probably the most talented quarterback Georgia's going to play, which is insane to say. That just sounds weird.
Now, he's playing well, And Kirby talked about him Monday, talking about how his arm talent is really, really special. I mean, you can see it on tape. I mean, as soon as he lets the ball rip, it's like, all right, he's one of those guys. Remember, back in high school, dude, coming out, I think it's a lot of the reason why people dislike him is because of all the QB1 stuff that he had. It was not a good look. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of douchey comments that came out of that. He was 17, 18 years old. I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine how people would perceive me as 17 years old if I had the world at my fingertips and had damn camera crews following me around. It would be absurd. It would be insane. Think about how you would handle that, okay? Just take a second. Didn't look great, did it? It didn't. It probably won't. And I think that's what people got caught up in with him. But since then, I mean, he's been a really, really good college quarterback. I think the physical limitations might limit him on the next level. We can't just Baker Mayfield's got really, really special arm talent, but physically he has limitations. That's why he's constantly banged up. That's why he's constantly hurt. That's why he constantly has inconsistencies in his performance, okay? Because there are physical limitations from his ability to create. I don't know if Spencer's going to run into those, but coming into the season, I thought Jackson Dart might be the answer for this question. Just because of all of the support he had around him. And then you watch that Tulane game, and they can't really run the football right now.
Well, you thought that'd be like a strength of
like Quinshon Judkins, we came into this like Quinshon Judkins. Nothing. Didn't look great, I should say. Not nothing. But most of his big plays in that Tulane football game came as a receiver, as a guy out in the edge playing. So it's wild. It's absolutely crazy to sit here and think about the fact that we might be looking at a season where, the best quarterback is Spencer Rattler from a South Carolina team that can't protect him.
In the regular season, at least.
The Joe Milton stuff has been the same stuff.
Yeah.
I see the same guy. I don't mean to already crap on the Joe Milton stuff, but it's been the same stuff over and over again. It's crazy. We'll talk about it a little bit in the National Hour because we have a Florida prediction. I'll say this again in the National Hour. For someone who has all I get told about is how big this arm is. All I get told about is how great of a thrower of the football Joe Milton is. I ain't never seen somebody so scared of a tight windowed throw. If there ain't a foot and a half of trail from the corner on a slant, he's off. He's off, clicking right off. He just tick, 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 tick. He ain't a one-read stick guy like Milroe. He's a one-read click off. Click, 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 click. He will click through his reads so fast because he just doesn't. Biggest arm in the world, doesn't trust it. Craziest thing in the world. Hey, let's not do things we need to prove Saturday. Let's do our bold predictions. Bold predictions for Saturday, starting with this one right here. I actually think South Carolina might be able to score some points in an explosive fashion, okay? I'm not talking about 35. I'm talking about, can South Carolina score 21 points Saturday? Yes. If South Carolina scores 21 points on Saturday, that means Georgia's actually got to play offense for 4 quarters. So here's the bold prediction. Carson Beck has 330 yards passing Saturday, okay, and a couple touchdowns. And they actually look like an offense that's supposed to look like this offense, right? I do think, again, like I said, South Carolina's going to be able to force you to score points, not at a crazy extensive rate, but they'll be able to put together a few successful offensive drives, particularly to start the football game. If you're going to have a slow start, you're going to have to play 4 quarters of offense. Carson Beck in this offense is going to put it up through the air on Saturday. That's bold prediction number 1.
I like it.
That was like word for word one of my bold predictions. Yeah, we're doing like round robin? Or?
Yeah, I like some round robin.
I like that.
Right.
I mean, I'll go ahead and take it because this is a 1-score game at halftime. I think you're right. I think South Carolina has a couple of explosive plays, catches Georgia quickly. But Georgia will eventually lean on South Carolina. Talent will win, and Georgia wins this game by 2 scores at the minimum. But I do think that come halftime, you're looking up, it's like, yo, why is it 17 to 10? Why is it 21 to 10 or something like that? People are like, what's going on? But it will be a 2-score win by the end of the day.
Line's 26, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it may have got bumped up to 26.5 now. But
Man, they must know what I know. Kirby don't like that man. Go ahead. Maybe that's why he was so perturbed today. It's Beamer week.
Beamer's on his mind.
Not a ton of respect. We found that out. Maybe he leaked. Maybe he I think people. Maybe this room's bugged. I mean, I've been paying attention lately. People have been paying, like, we talk about something in pre-show meetings. Next thing I know, the ops is tweeting about it. Think they got us?
Might have. Or we got an inside man in here.
It's not me, so.
Perhaps. But anyways, not a tremendous amount of respect to open the press conference last year with the South Carolina
No, he did
stuff.
not have a lot of respect.
He doubled down this year. tremendous amount of respect for what Shane and them guys have been doing. So watch out. Tremendous amount of respect. The meter of respect meter is important. Any more bold predictions? What do you got?
You want me to keep going? I gave one.
Oh, you had one? You had one?
I haven't. I have one, but
Let's
I
hear
haven't
it.
said
Let's hear it.
I think South Carolina has 4 or more false start penalties on Saturday.
Oh, y'all did challenge him. That man said y'all wasn't very loud.
Did you see what South Carolina Twitter is like ranting?
They're all
about?
up in arms about it.
Is this a big deal?
Yeah, apparently it's a
they're-
big deal because Tonka didn't explicitly say that Georgia didn't have a great environment. He just said that Tennessee and another team, I can't remember who, has a great environment, just did not mention Georgia.
Yeah.
So they're taking it as like, oh, they're putting words in his mouth. They're just making things up. Kirby's having to fabricate motivation for his football team, that type of thing.
Yeah, let me read you some of the comments on Twitter.
Dude, I saw some of the score predictions on the bottom of an ESPN something today, or PFF. Cocky fans,
Yeah.
literally.
I don't know.
You got that late. You got that a little bit late. What were you about to read on the reply?
Just all of these comments of South Carolina fans are like, Kirby doing Kirby things. Why would you need a locker room material as a 21-point favorite? Most intelligent people can read that any top college football atmosphere rankings. Heck, they even do it with pictures. How is like just a bunch of like, this is ridiculous. You don't need to be doing this.
It wasn't even like that. It was he was asked about it.
Yeah, I was about to say, he got asked.
He got asked about it, and it was just like, well, I mean, maybe he just challenged it. I mean, he used it as a way to do it. I mean, he's just doing the thing. Another bold prediction. Ladd McConkey's definitely going to be out for this football game. He is not practicing. He didn't practice yesterday. He didn't practice today. I don't know. It's very touch and go. I meant to ask Terence about it. I've never had a back injury as a football player. I've never had anything go wrong with my spine or anything relative to my spine. But I have had back pain as a human, and that shit ain't nothing to play with, okay? Ain't at all. And it is very touch and go. You might feel great one day, you go to do some type of load or some type of work, and then you do one thing wrong and it's bad for you again. So with Ladd kind of not being available this Saturday, I don't think it's going to be available, or he's going to be available. With that being the case, I do think it's Ra Thomas time. We talked about it last night. The bold prediction is Ra Thomas has at least 2 explosives. I'm talking about 30-plus yard receptions. Okay, if you're going to take the top off of a defense, I think Dominic Lovett and Brock Bowers are going to require and demand safety attention. They're going to command the middle of the field. Georgia has already shown the ability to do so. You watch it on tape, safeties are aware and alert in the middle of the field. They don't really cover or garner any attention, Georgia that being, outside the numbers, because they don't have an X. We've been talking about it. They don't have that available yet. It hasn't shown that yet. Ra Thomas on Saturday going to have to do it.
I like that. I've got Mekhi Muse returns another touchdown. For some reason,
Spicy.
Yeah, for some reason, Ball State kept kicking punts to him after he returned that first one.
But this is Mr. Special Teams, man.
Yeah, I was about to say.
This is Mr. Special Teams.
I still think Mekhi Muse, he's got it, dude.
Would you be shocked if I told you that Kirby Smart has their own grading system for special teams?
I believe it.
For all of other teams. They grade and evaluate other teams.
Oh,
Interesting.
They have their own data and metrics, their own scoring systems.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to start jotting them down. We need to put them on the wall somewhere. Examples of obsessive traits in successful people. Not just Kirby. You guys find these anywhere. You let me know. Tag me at Brooks Austin BA. You find someone that's doing something that is clear signs of, oh, this person's successful, this person's obsessive, and this is a part of the reason why they are successful. You send that shit to me. I need it. I need that like a drug person needs drugs. I need that. A drug person needs drugs.
But yeah, Mekhi Muse, walk-ons under 5'10" are the lifeblood of this Kirby Smart dynasty. So
yeah,
he's going to have another touchdown. I'm calling it.
Me speak good. Me be speaking for another hour coming up in about 3 minutes. MBR. Hey, I'm so proud of y'all.
Snap.
That MBR stuff. Oh, KJ Bolden.
Yeah.
KJ Bolden going to be in town this week. Is it a big deal? No. All right. We talked about it from the flip inverse of this. I know. Held him the whole time just for this. We talked about the inverse of this a while back. Okay. We talked about how, sometimes you get married. Okay. Or sometimes you get engaged and you just want to have a good time while you're engaged on your bachelor party. sometimes that bachelor party gets a little crazy. And I think that's what happened with the virtual flip of KJ. I think there was a time during the summer where Georgia felt really, really, really good about KJ Bolden coming to the University of Georgia. And then I'd say about 8 days before he made his commitment, there was some, we don't feel so great no more. All right, it might be Florida State. And then Auburn got in the mix. And then it was, nope, it's definitely Florida State. And then Florida State ends up getting the commitment. And Florida State's garnered the attention and saved the attention and had the attention of KJ Bolden for the remainder of that time. Okay, and now he's on a visit to the University of Georgia this weekend because South Carolina's in town. By the way, there ain't a good football game in all of college football this weekend unless you want to go down to Gainesville and watch Tennessee as a 7.5-point favorite, or unless you just want to sit at home, okay? We don't do a lot of complaining about the slate, but the slate ain't great this weekend, which means you're the attraction, okay? It's great. Look at the visitors list. It's awesome. It's jam-packed. I give it to you right now, but I don't want to give away everything we put out on patreon.com/Brooks Austin today, all right? But the slate's great in terms of recruiting. Aiden Breland going to be in town. KJ Bolden going to be in town, right? Mekhi Boudreaux, just decommitted from Florida, going to be in town. All right, there's a lot of recruiting momentum for not a lot of spots left in a class that's already pretty much filled up, okay? You don't have a ton of home games. This is the only really, really great one, and the slate's not great elsewhere. That's why KJ Bolden's in town. I said the same thing, if you guys remember, last year when Justice Haynes came to watch Tennessee play against Georgia, okay? It's the best game of the weekend. You're going to have great football players come to town. It doesn't mean you're going to flip them. You might have a chance to. You might have a chance at KJ Bolden. I don't know if it's just because he's in town this weekend, though. It's going to be because of the totality of the recruitment from there on. Again, got an hour coming up in